Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. Welcome back to A Good Life Farm. Thought I would take a second to enjoy the lovely day here on the front porch and talk to you about something that's been on my heart. You know, I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't grow up in the country. I grew up in town, but even as a little girl, I always felt like I wanted to live out in the country. I wanted to have a farm, I wanted to have chickens and a garden and animals and all of that. And it was a long time dream of mine to have this life and to have this homestead. When I graduated high school, you know, I joined the Army and met Mr. Smith, and I didn't stay active duty, but Mr. Smith did. And after 25 years of active duty military life and living here, there, and everywhere, we finally were able to settle down and plant roots here in northern Alabama. And it is truly a dream come true. You know, the other night we were doing our pre-bedtime routine and putting away the dishes and all of that in the kitchen, and I commented on how exhausted I was and how I was looking forward to going to bed because I'd been doing a lot of work outside in the heat that day and was looking forward to my head hitting the pillow. And Mr. Smith looked out the window and he let out this deep sigh and he goes, "I'm sorry you have to do all this by yourself." And he had this such a remorseful tone because, you know, Mr. Smith works in town. He commutes to Huntsville every day for work, and so he's not here during the day. And a lot of the stuff I do, he helps me on the weekends or in the evenings if there's something that I need assistance with. But for the most part, what takes place here is done by me. And I looked at him and I said, "You don't have to apologize. I live for this." And it's the truth. I live for this. This gives me so much joy, even though it's exhausting sometimes, and even though it's really hotter than I'd like it to be. I would not trade this. I would not trade this for anything. So I thought I would take you on a walk through the garden and give you a little bit of an update for week 4. So back here behind me I have the asparagus bed that I have started. I've changed it up a little bit. Came out here and thoroughly mulched it the other day and gave it a good layer of mulch. I've done a double stack of cinder blocks now so that I could take down the chicken wire that I had around it. That way I can properly weed eat and clean it up around there. The second stack of cinder blocks, I laid them on the flat side. That way it'll keep grass and weeds from growing up inside the bottom cinder blocks. And that should be enough to keep the ducks from being able to reach in there. I don't think they can reach any of those asparagus plants. So over here I have the long skinny flower bed that the ducks have been having a good time with. Some of the flowers are reaching the end of their season and a couple others are just starting. You can see I have some bee balm that is about to bloom. It's starting to get there. Most of the zinnias and the cosmos have been eaten. Well, these cosmos have been eaten by the ducks. These ones are tall enough that the ducks can't reach them all. And they don't seem to care for the coleus. And for the most part, they've left these scarlet coneflowers alone, but the poppies are long gone. And so far the lavender they've pretty much left alone. As you can see, they really like the zinnias and they go after all of the ones that they can reach. Right here, these are the red roselle flowers that I planted. Started them indoors. They kind of struggled a lot when I first put them out here, but then once I was able to mulch this bed, they've really taken off. And you can see there's blossoms down there on the stems all over the place. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these flower. The blue Monday sage is going crazy back there. Here is my marjoram, which is starting to get flowers on it. My oregano down here is doing good, down low. Thyme. This is my lone tarragon plant that survived, but it's doing pretty good. Down in there we have that little hidden thyme. My Tulsi basil going crazy. Here I stuck a couple sunflowers. These are, I think they were the teddy bear sunflowers. I know they're not ones that get very tall. They're only about 18 inches. So I went ahead, I had something down here that didn't come up. I think it was probably chamomile. This is the spot that Stumper and Nubs kept getting into before I fenced the garden. And they pretty much destroyed the seeds that were here. And so since I had some space, I stuck these sunflower seeds in there. There is my first queen lime zinnia that has blossomed. I've got sweet peas down in here, but they're not doing great. Honestly, I don't know if they're getting enough sun down in here. If they would climb up the trellis, they'd get more than enough. But I just don't know. They're lacking something. I would guess light. Here I've got some more bee balm. I've got some sage down here, kitchen sage, not Monday sage. There's another one down here under this bee balm that's kind of fallen over, and some more thyme back in there. Now just a couple days ago I did an update on the loofah gourds and I shared how well they were doing, and at that time the vine was only right about here. Now look at it. It is going crazy. My tomatoes in here are doing beautiful. Now these are actually Blue Beauty tomatoes, but because they're so shaded, they're not really getting that purple color. However, if I come around here on the other side, to the south side, where it gets more sun, you can see that beautiful color developing on these tomatoes. So I think what I will do is I will come back in here and prune a bunch of these branches away from these tomatoes so that they can get the sun, because the more sunlight they get, the more color they get. But they're all doing great. These are the Dr. Witchies or Wikes. There's lots of tomatoes. The Blue Beauties are more prolific though. So far there's more tomatoes on those than any other. I've got my purple basil. It's starting to get little flowers developing, and I pinch them off as I see them. That way more of the plant will grow. I think it was the dark opal variety. You can see right there some that I missed. So we got blossoms. So the ducks discovered the, I can never remember if those are cannas or callas, the lilies, yesterday. And yeah, they ate all the flowers off the top. So now this bed down here behind me is the one I had planted brassicas in, and then I just kind of left them there so they could go to seed and I could collect the seeds and all that. I think what I'm going to do, I don't really like this bed being directly in front of the gate because it makes it difficult to get in here. Even though I can use the double gate to bring in carts and all of that, I would still like to have a little bit better of a walkway coming in on this side. because this is the side that I use the most. So my thought is, in the fall or winter, I'm going to completely rip out this bed and start a new one right about here, about the same distance as the other one, and also pull out that bed back there and create one longer bed, more elevated like these, in this corner right here. And I may do the same thing for that one. Go ahead and remove it and replace it with a more elevated one. That's what I'm thinking about at this point. Over here, I've got lettuce. This is about pretty much reaching the end of the season. It's getting hot, so the leaves don't taste as good as they did before. I've got a bunch of things coming up right here, and I sincerely cannot remember what I planted here. I don't remember if these were zinnias. I don't remember, and I don't remember if I wrote this on my chart. But right here, this is another one of those little teddy bear sunflowers. I did pop a couple of those in there. Right there I have a random shard plant that came up. The radishes that I planted here are coming right along. A couple of these back down in there look like they might actually be harvestable, but most of these are just going to be left to go to seed so that the cucumber plants reap the benefits of those. I do need to get in here and weed a little bit. I've got some stuff coming up in here, like all sorts of volunteer my Aunt Molly's ground cherries. Look at these. You know, it's so funny how you plant these indoors to get them started, and they're very temperamental. It's hard to start them. You'll have all sorts of them that don't start, but boy oh boy, you plant some in a bed and you will have volunteers coming up all over the place. I can't even tell you how many of them I've pulled out of here. So now these two beds here, I had put the fence in to keep the ducks from getting in there and eating all of the seedlings. Well, now that the cucumber vines are starting to grow, they're grabbing a hold of the fence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect where I have the seam right here for the fencing, and I'm going to pull it open and block it off right here so that I can walk in and do what I need to do in here, but the ducks will no longer have access to this section right here, because you can see right here they're eating what they can get. So we're going to take care of that. This is my one random lipstick pepper plant that I have tucked in here, and if you look down in there, I've got peppers galore. Zinnias, cosmos, blue Monday sage, foxglove, and I planted a few more of those sunflowers down in there as well, but I'm afraid that the bee balm that is going crazy here, as well as the cosmos and everything, might shade them too much to let them grow. Alright, so let's head on out to the big garden. So here is the big garden. Everything is coming right along. The Dr. Wykes tomatoes down here on the end. Sparse though that they are, they all have tomatoes. My Mongolian sunflowers are getting bigger and bigger. Now last week I talked about my bean plants and how they were being decimated by like 4 different kinds of beetles, and I sprayed neem oil, didn't do a thing, and then I used some insecticidal soap, and so let me show you what has taken place since then. Now while you can see these leaves that had been devoured by the beetles, you can also see that there is new growth taking place. Even the leaves that had been munched on, they've gotten bigger, and now look, we've got blossoms. I'm very excited about that. I'm seeing this result on all of my bean plants, including my utterly demolished Chinese noodle beans. But we've got new growth and we've got blossoms. Here we've got some Amish paste tomatoes. You can see that funny kind of teardrop shape. Got more Brazil. These are ones I had planted from seed. Some Cosmos. Here are the Vernissage tomatoes, and that striped pattern is a trait of the variety, and Mr. Smith absolutely loves the way these tomatoes look. And these plants, even though these in-ground beds aren't the greatest soil, they're doing great. Like especially this one, it is just covered in tomatoes. There's bunches of tomatoes all over. Now here you can really see a significant improvement on the beans. These are, oh gosh, now I can't remember what they're called. Where's my marker? Here it is. My NT half runner beans. They are growing like crazy. You see all these beautiful healthy leaves. So very encouraging to see this taking place. Here I've got a couple lipstick peppers. Got one there. Got a couple on that plant over there. Now these are all bell peppers in here, and while I don't see any peppers yet, there's lots and lots of blossoms. And so I'm hopeful on the bell peppers, since that's what we eat the most of. Here's another exciting development. There are lots of blossoms on my Tanya's pink hulled beans, or pink pod, whatever you want to call them. Very excited about that. And again, like all the other beans, there's lots of new growth. Lots of improvement on these since I seem to have taken care of the beetles. I've not found any more beetles on any of my bean plants thus far. Sweet potato vines coming along, spreading out, getting happy. Here's my little bitty moon and stars melons. Hopefully they start taking off before too long. Marigolds back there. Got a couple Cosmo plants here, comfrey. So this is that flower bed area that I had planted and was having a hard time finding anything. But I came out here and thoroughly weeded, well, mostly weeded. I still see a couple in there that I missed. But I found some things that I think are flowers. So I'm going to just leave them and keep my fingers crossed. Over there you can see the stonecrop flowers are starting to bloom. So here's my Chinese noodle beans, and these are the ones that were the most destroyed by the beetles. And I've got new growth, I've got baby leaves all over the place, and so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. These are Lemon Queen sunflowers, all looking towards the sun. Zinnias, some more roselle down there. Here's my okra. Slow and steady. Some more zinnias, starting to get some blossoms, and more bell peppers. And like the others, there's blossoms, but no peppers yet. Here's my Charlotte Gray watermelon. The vines are growing nicely. I actually have some blossoms down there, which I'm excited to see. Daikon radishes and cucumbers. The cucumbers are actually starting to get some blossoms, and I just mulched these the other day. Here's my candy roaster squash. Lots of growth. Everything's looking pretty good. Now my corn bed is in a desperate need of some maintenance. I will be getting out here in a couple of days and working hard on this. I need to hoe the rows. Gotta hoe the rows. My butternut squash, it needs to get mulched. So does my candy roaster squash. All of those need to get mulched. And this is very exciting to see. We've got zucchini blossoms. So those are all of the in-ground beds. And for the most part, they're doing pretty good. Some things are doing better than others. Again, this is the first year that we're establishing these new beds, and it's going to take some time to get the soil built up and all of that. All of those pepper plants that I've just shown you were planted the same day that I planted these. And the amount of growth on these plants compared to those is just staggering. So these two right here are my Tabasco plants, the Tabasco peppers. They are a little slow going, but I'm just now starting to see some baby buds for blossoms developing, and I've just noticed this in the last day or so. Right here, these are the cubanellas, and most of these pepper plants have gotten so big I've had to stake them all up. And this is why. Look at all these peppers. Oh my goodness. They are laden with them. Look at that. Peppers everywhere. Some of these are actually just about ready for me to pick, like these ones right here. These are the Peach Rush Habaneros, and you can see a couple babies right there starting. But if I dig a little deeper, look at here. Look at all of these. They are all in there. Down here, these are my puny little cayenne pepper plants that I wasn't sure if they were even going to make it. They're the only ones that germinated. But they are starting to get some blossoms. That one's looking better than the other one. All right, right here, these three are my jalapenos. And if you look right here, we've got jalapenos all up in there. Right here are more lipstick peppers. There's a bunch of them on these plants. And then last but not least in this bed are the 5-color Chinese peppers, and these are the super hot ones. Mr. Smith, he got adventurous. Him and his hot peppers. It's just amazing to me what a difference there is between these pepper plants and all of those that are out there in the traditional in-ground beds. It's just tremendous. Okay, and finally, the last raised bed. These were vernissage tomato plants and some more blue beauties. And I've noticed that the vernissage plants, while they are producing well, they are making lots of lovely little tomatoes. I noticed that with our heat, even though I'm deep watering these tomato plants, that the leaves on these vernissage tomatoes do tend to curl up a lot. So I don't think they like the heat that we've been having. However, the blue beauties are doing very well, both in this bed and in the bed out there in the duck garden. And so I think these blue beauty tomatoes are a little more tolerant of the really hot temperatures that we have here in northern Alabama already this year. And you can see how this branch is leaning out. I've got it tied up so that it doesn't break. And because it's getting so much more sunlight, these tomatoes have that beautiful purple color developing. You can really see it on this one, how the side that's more exposed has some purple, but the side that's under the leaves does not. So I'll definitely come out here and do some pruning on the blue beauties and remove some of the excess foliage so that they can get more sunlight. You know, last weekend I went on that trip to the Great Appalachian Homesteaders Conference, and on the way there I was just enjoying my music and singing at the top of my lungs You know, not everybody likes road trips, but I love them because I get some of my most soul-enriching worship time when I'm on those road trips, and this time was no different. You know, I did an Instagram post the other day where I talked about how much I had enjoyed the conference, but the whole time I was thinking about my garden and I was missing my garden, and I wasn't exaggerating. This time around, you know, I was on my way up to Tennessee, on my way up for the conference, and I was just worshiping the Lord and just singing His praises and just showing my appreciation. And I was overwhelmed with this intense sense of gratitude. And I just found myself with tears streaming down my face as I'm driving down the interstate because I was so grateful for what we have here. Earlier, while I was cooking dinner, I watched the latest Roots and Refuge video that was published today, and in it Jess mentioned how sometimes she just likes to sit in her garden and just sit there and be silent, and just how she would love to do a vlog with no talking, a silent vlog, and appreciate that holy hush. And that resonated with me so much because that is how I feel when I come out here in the garden. When I was driving up the interstate and I was overwhelmed with that sense of gratitude, it was because of this. Yeah, I didn't grow up in the country. I didn't have a farm or anything like that, but it has always been a dream of mine to have this life. And when I was on my way up to the conference, it struck me, this overwhelming sense of gratitude, because this garden is such a dream, and it is such an accomplishment, and it's not me. I can't. Yes, I put in the sweat, I put in the labor and all of that, but I can't take credit because this is absolutely a blessing from God to be able to have this garden and to have it be beautiful like this. You know, I think about the Garden of Eden and what that must have looked like. What must God's garden have looked like? You know, very often people will talk about how gardening is good for the soul, and I think that's in our DNA. I think that God made us to have a yearning for the garden, to want to stick our fingers in the dirt and feel the soil and plant the seeds and watch things grow. Because even before the fall, even before Eve was created, when it was just Adam and God placed him in the garden, in the book of Genesis, it says that God placed him there in the garden to cultivate it. I think we were made for this, you guys. I really do. I think it's not a mistake that being in the garden, whether it's my little garden or a big fancy botanical one in the city, there's just something about it that brings this incredible sense of peace. And just, like Jess said, I just want to sit out here and just listen. I want to listen to the birds, and I want to listen to the crickets and the ducks out here quacking, and just breathe in. Just breathe in the presence of God. God walked with Adam and Eve in the garden. And I really think He walks with us in ours.